Hello, fellow scientists. Welcome to our study, which we are going to focus on derivative of inverse hyperbolic function. Welcome, and let us learn together through step-by-step method, which is easy to understand. Thanks. Hello, my fellow scientists. Welcome to Fundamentals of Calculus. We have been looking at derivative of inverse trigonometric function, and we are considering the derivative of inverse of hyperbolic function. We have so far looked at the derivative of hyperbolic function, inverse of hyperbolic sine x, and inverse of hyperbolic cos x. Today we want to look at the derivative of inverse hyperbolic tan x, and we want to show that the derivative of inverse hyperbolic tan x is given by 1 divided by 1 minus x. So to do that, we are going to let y be equal to inverse hyperbolic function of tan x, and then from there we are going to multiply this. Here we are going to multiply both sides with hyperbolic function of tan y, both sides, and from the loss of indices this side we will get 1 times x, which is x. Then we differentiate this with respect to x, both sides, both the left hand side and right hand side, with respect to x. And when we differentiate, we are going to find the derivative of hyperbolic tan y is hyperbolic sec squared y, dy and dx. We multiply within dy and dx because it is an hyperbolic function. Then x differentiated with respect to x will give us 1. Then from there we divide in both sides. We divide both sides of this equation here. We divide both sides with hyperbolic sec squared dy to be left within dy dx. Be left within dy dx. And on the right hand side we will have 1 over hyperbolic sec squared y. Then from there what we are going to do, we are going to use this identity here, which says that the square, this identity tells us that the square of hyperbolic sec squared minus the square of hyperbolic sine y is equal to 1. Then what we are going to do, we divide this equation by hyperbolic. So we divide here, we divide this equation by hyperbolic cos squared y to be left with 1, and hyperbolic sine squared y divided by hyperbolic cos squared y that is equivalent to hyperbolic tan squared y. Here 1 over hyperbolic cos squared y is the same as hyperbolic sec squared y. Now we use the fact here, we have seen that hyperbolic tan of y is equal to x, so we substitute the same here. So since hyperbolic tan y is equal to x, we are going to substitute where you have tan y is equivalent to x. Hyperbolic of tan y is equal to x. So here, because now hyperbolic tan squared y, we square x from this relationship here. That is what we are using. So now we come to this formula: 1 over 1 divided by hyperbolic sec squared y is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus x squared, which is our required derivative. Hence, the derivative of inverse hyperbolic tan of x with respect to x is given by 1 divided by 1 minus x squared. So we have seen it is very simple to prove that. First of all, you begin by letting y to be equal to this, function here, to be equal to hyperbolic, to be equal to inverse hyperbolic of tan x. Then you multiply both sides by hyperbolic tan to get hyperbolic tan y is equal to x. Then you differentiate both sides. This side we are going to differentiate it implicitly, and we are going to get hyperbolic tan y differentiated is hyperbolic sec squared y dy dx, which is equal to 1. Then from there you divide both sides by dy. You divide both sides by hyperbolic sec squared y. That way. Then from there we have applied this fact, the trigonometric ratio of hyperbolic function, which tells us that hyperbolic of cos squared y minus hyperbolic of sin squared y is equal to 1. Then we divide this one by hyperbolic cos squared, here to be left with 1. Hyperbolic sin squared y divided by hyperbolic cos squared y is equal to hyperbolic tan squared y. 1 over hyperbolic cos squared y is hyperbolic sec squared y. Now, using this fact here that hyperbolic of tan y is equal to x, we substitute here where you are for hyperbolic tan squared of y, you write x and you square it. Then from here you come here and substitute in the formula. 1 over hyperbolic sec squared y is equal to 1 minus, instead of hyperbolic sec squared y, we substitute it with this value here. And now that is how you easily get the derivative of inverse hyperbolic function. Now you can recap, you can check in the link below to find the how to get the derivative of inverse hyperbolic of sin x and derivative of inverse of hyperbolic cos x, and in the link which I'm going to provide in the link below. Our next focus will be the derivative of inverse hyperbolic cosec x, the derivative of inverse, the derivative of inverse, the derivative of inverse hyperbolic cosec x, and we are going to find out that it is given by -1 divided by x multiplied by square root of x squared plus 1. So be there so that you may understand how the derivative of inverse hyperbolic of cos x is obtained. So much for watching this study. Kindly like, subscribe so that you won't miss any single video which I upload now and then. Also, you can make a comment there. You can suggest any area of study which you would want me to address, and I will be more than willing to tackle it on your behalf. Thanks so much for your support, guys.